morning, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to NSSA. And with me here is the chairman of the NSSA board, Dr. Cuthbert Chidori. We are asked to meet with you this morning to give you an update on corporate governance matters within NSSA. And as you all know, NSSA is an institution that manages the social security schemes for employees. Ladies and gentlemen, there have been challenges regarding corporate governance. As a result of some of these challenges, we have a forensic report, which I know you are all very much interested in. On the 22nd of May, some of you, not all of you, some of you were here. And I want to read to you the statement that I presented here on the 22nd of May. On the 22nd of May, we said, the Ministry of Public Service, Labor and Social Welfare is in receipt of the NSSA forensic report, which had also been placed before the Board of Directors for deliberation. I also say we are in process of reviewing the NSSA forensic report, and we have engaged a team of lawyers to offer legal counsel for careful appraisal. And I also noted that we were working very closely with the Special Anti-Corruption Unit on the matters. And I said the legal counsel was going to collect the information in order to help the board chair and the board members to decide on the appropriate legal route to pursue. I noted that where there was evidence that would warrant either criminal action or recovery through civil remedies, we shall be pursuing those interests because we safeguard the interests of the employees as well as the pensioners. My role as the minister is to ensure the protection of the interests of the pensioners and integrity of the pension fund. And in doing so, I'm also following the vision that the President has presented to us. And his vision for 2030 focuses on the mandate that we must be practicing efficiency, transparency, accountability, and good corporate governance. This has been a problem in NSSA. And because it has been a problem, we have a new board. A new board is led by Dr. Cuthbert Chidori. And I would like to ask Dr. Chidori to give you just an overview of the kind of caliber that are now ready and working very hard. I want to emphasize that. Working really hard to ensure that there's good corporate governance at NSSA. Dr. Chidori, please.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Good morning, everybody. I speak on behalf of myself as well as on behalf of the recently appointed NSSA board. We are just a little over 4 months now on the job, and as the Minister alluded to, there has been in the past very serious issues surrounding corporate governance in NSSA. And because of that, the ministry felt it appropriate sometime before we even brought into the scene to have this forensic audit report prepared by the Auditor General. And this is one of the documents that I hasten to say was passed on to the board just after we came on board. And I wanted to assure you that this is something which the board has looked at very exhaustively and thoroughly, and working closely with the minister, we have tried to analyze and find means of making sure that what is reported, it is after all a forensic audit report. It's not just another audit report for NSSA. We feel we must exhaust all the issues that have been raised in that report. And in that regard, as reported to you last month or the month before, we have been working very closely with the ministry, and we have some legal advisors we have since to ensure that we look at this report exhaustively and deal with all the issues that are raised. It's important that I emphasize that we are anxious that as a new board, we be seen to be doing the right thing. It is important for us also to work closely with the mandate that NSSA has and our engagement with the ministry, just to make sure that all the issues that affect what's supposed to be done by NSSA are done properly, and in particular emphasizing the good corporate governance that's required. It's important also going forward that as we engage, the recommendations that come from this audit report are examined carefully by the board and make sure that we engage the right corrective measures, working closely with a very able management team that we have in NSSA, and making sure that things are done correctly. And in terms of the law, in terms of the NSSA Act, and all the other legislations that we have to comply with in Zimbabwe. I'll be happy to answer any other questions, but that is what I would want to say at this stage. Thank you.
I might just also add, Chairman, I also just want to add that we are almost complete with our reconstitution of the board. There's only one member left, and that's from ZCTU. And every potential board member goes through vetting. And the member from ZCTU will be appointed very soon. The delay has only happened because the vetting took a little bit of time. So very soon we will be complete. But this hasn't stopped us from following the right movements towards ensuring that there is accountability, transparency, and good governance to safeguard the interests of those who've entrusted us with subscriptions through their work. And we will be welcoming questions. And I'm not sure how many we can have, but let's start with 3 questions, and then we'll answer them, and we're happy to answer some more. Thank you.
My name is Ben Manga from the just wanted to find out why has it been so difficult for you to make the report public?
Thank you. His question is, why has the minister found it very difficult to make the report public? I have not found it difficult to make the report public. There are processes that must be followed when a forensic report that's initiated by the executive has been presented. I got the report in March through the Auditor General, and we sat with the new board members and discussed it. And some of the 4 key issues to emerge were: number 1, to do with corporate governance; number 2, issues to do with IT. Another one was to do with investments and other issues to do with HR. And I want to say that in all those four, there are some irregularities that required expert lawyers to unpack each one of them. So when you have a forensic report like that, and it's showing four absolutely key areas that requires legal expertise, it's not the kind of report that you simply present to the public. It needs to be unpacked and presented not only to the public, but also to Parliament. And may I also just say that I did promise to Parliament that I was going to present that report. However, the time frame that I had given was simply not possible because we needed to do the due diligence that was necessary in having on board the lawyers who would unpack it. So it took longer than I expected, but I know I have an obligation to present it, and it shall be presented very soon. Any other question? Shall I go this time? Then I'll come to you. No, there's no person left.
Okay, my name is Taurem Mambush. I'm in the business time. It's a good thing that both of you are here. Like the chairman just alluded to, there have been malpractices in the past. So one thing that has been consistent is one malpractice after the other. As the minister and the current chairman, what are you doing? Because I feel it's a matter of putting systems, not just changing individuals, because this has been happening for the system. No matter what the sitting minister or the chairman, what are you doing to ensure this comes to an end?
It's quite clear that in any forensic report where wrong things have been identified, you want to make sure that there is the right process which deals exhaustively with the issues that have been identified. There are issues which may be of a criminal nature or which may border on some misdemeanors or wrongdoings by whoever was there at the time. They are the prosecuting agents which will take care of that. For us as the board, we are very anxious to be guided properly. We are aware of who within government can assist us to make sure that not only does NSSA do those things that are expected of it in terms of the prescribed legislation that is already in force currently. So we work with the various organs of government to make sure that we engage each other correctly. And specifically regarding those things that need correction, we will address them systematically. And that is why we have had to pick these group of experts to assist us to undo and to unpack those things that require us to act. I hasten to add that the forensic itself has recommendations, and we will take each one of those recommendations seriously and make sure that we attach importance to anything which has to do either with our management, our processes as an institute of government, as a parastatal, and also just work closely with other organs like the OPC, making sure that NSSA is fully compliant with what is expected. We are a creature of statute. There is a NSSA Act which brought into being NSSA, and therefore there are very clearly laid out activities that NSSA must be able to do. And so you can rest assured that the process is ongoing. It's not a one-day event. We are hoping that the process that we have initiated since May will bear some fruit and will be able to get the right recommendations and deal exhaustively with those areas where NSSA is indeed implicated. I hasten to add that the board is anxious where we can. We want to protect what our contributors have given to NSSA, what the pensioners have paid to NSSA, and what the employers also have entrusted NSSA with. We're anxious that those things should be done systematically, exhaustively, and any wrongdoing We'll refer it to the necessary agents who can deal with that.
Constant Nkomo from newszimbabwe.com. Minister Mpumira was last week arrested, and part of the charges that have been laid before her are that she abused NSSA funds. And now we've got the audit report not yet received, and you're still going about it. I'm just trying to connect the dots, and it's creating a very complex issue now. Somebody has been already charged with the report that you haven't released. Okay, can you just try to explain to her, linking you to the arrest of Honorable Minister Mpumira?
The forensic report, as I've said, it has 4 irregularities, which I've mentioned already. And the chairman has said if there are elements of a criminal nature within the forensic report, that's a matter for the courts. That is a matter for the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission, and they're already seized with the matter. What I am interested in, together with the chairman, is how we can make it right within NSSA. We have internal processes that need to be fixed. These internal processes are to do with corporate governance. It's also to do with the separation of powers between management and the board. It's to do with how we manage risk within NSSA, how we ensure that we are aligned to the strategy and aligned to the president's vision. So these are 2 separate issues. The forensic report will help us put our house in order. As I've said before, it's going to be published once the team of lawyers have presented it, which will happen fairly soon. 2 separate issues. You're asking about Chimani
Yes.
and Cyclone Idai.
Yes.
There's a lot of work that is happening in Cyclone Idai, and certainly the Ministry of Public Service, Labour and Social Welfare has been very much on the ground and working quite closely with the Ministry of Public Works and Disaster Management. And I also want to take this opportunity to thank the donor community that have been really supportive to address the social protection as well as the safety nets of the people in Chimani. And I'm also pleased to say that only last week there was a launch of the World Bank support as well as the Africa Development Bank support. So the donor partners have been really supportive. And also the president launched an appeal a couple months ago towards the support and relief of the people in Chimani. Let me just add that we are in a difficult time because there's plenty of hunger. Now that's another matter, but one of my aims is to ensure that people have something to eat, that we have food on the table for every Zimbabwean. But right now, as I'm sitting here, we are talking about NSSA. And I'd like to hear some more questions, please. Thank you.
I've got 2 questions, Minister. My name is John Kasim, Channel Africa. The first question is, are you being investigated? And the second question is, have you been in hiding? Because it would appear you have been, because it had to take Nick Mangwana to call you to verify whether you're in hiding or not, and for Nick Mangwana to come back on Twitter and tell us, as the general public, that indeed you're not in hiding. So what's happening?
It's a very interesting question. You know, I have a village. Some of you are and I used to have a column, which sadly I'm not writing anymore because of my new responsibilities. We know in our constituency. I go to the constituency on Fridays. When I go to the constituency, quite often it doesn't work. The network, that is. I was right down in the Save River where there are problems. I was there, I was not even aware that there's plenty of, a lot of stories have been happening, social media, and I was not on social media. And only Nick spoke to me, was it yesterday morning? When you're in Chikomba East, where I come from, and people are saying, hey, well, you are hiding. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot of work to do. I mean, for us to dwell on nonsensical stories and social media that distract us away from what is at stake. What is at stake, ladies and gentlemen, is that I have a responsibility, the contributions of pensioners. I have a responsibility to ensure that I am transparent, I am accountable to the president and to the general public who put their faith in me to do the right thing. As to whether I was hiding, whether I was, I mean, come on. I think apedzenguva tichitaura about what social medias are saying. Otherwise, we get distracted. We've got work to do. Any other questions?
The first question was, are you being investigated?
People can investigate me if they wish. As far as I know, I'm not being investigated. However, those who are saying I am being investigated, why don't you ask them? Why don't you ask them? As far as I know, I have absolutely nothing to hide. I'm here to serve the people. I have the job to do. I don't want to dwell on nonsensical, smearing social media. My responsibility is to the people. Any other questions? Yes, you can.
Considering that...
Oh, sorry, one more question, sorry. So you have answered. Can I have another question? Another question? Your take.
I mean, how soon is the report going to be made public?
The
You
report,
said soon, but how soon?
I'm expecting this week.
It's important that you understand that this is not just a simple write-up. We have shared the reports with, like for example, ZAC, the Special Anti-Corruption Unit in the President's Office. There is work to be done, and the Minister, once she has been briefed, we will collect all the inputs that we are getting, and once those are at hand, we will discuss with the Minister, share with the Minister, and she will be able to come to you, and we can call another press conference such as this one, just to appraise you. But we are hoping that this is something that can happen very soon. We are having some discussions, and we should be having some summary reports this week, and the Minister will be able to appraise the public on some of the issues that we'll brief. And then going on, as the details come out, we will be able to give to the public what is authentic, what is correct.
But isn't this a public document that should be available to the public?
Really?
Isn't this a public document that should be available to the public?
Yes, it does.
It will be. No, it will be made public at the right time. Your turn.
Margaret Matibe from the Zion.
So I one more question. So you are the last. So go ahead.
Oh, okay.
No, you go ahead.
So I have two questions since I'm the last. My first one is to the chairman. If the audit report has already been availed, what's there to do more than just issue it out to the public? What's there to do if the report has been made already, it's already there? Are you doctoring it or what? My other question, it goes to the nonsensical things that are circulating on social media. It is reported that you received money, 90,000 from the former minister in your ministry to cover up for this audit. What would be your comment to that?
Shall I? Okay. You specifically are asking the issues surrounding the audit report. explain, the audit report is not a creation of the board. The audit report is something which was requested by the ministry, and it was requested formally through the Auditor General, who audits NSSA. NSSA has periodic audits every year. We just finished our 2018 audit this month, and we'll be finalizing that, and it will be brought back. It will be brought to the public as well as to our stakeholders in particular. So a NSSA audit is not something that is private or secret. It's a straight audit. It goes through all the issues that are happening within the organization. What you're referring to is the forensic audit, which was specifically requested by the ministry so as to undo and to bring to light the corporate governance issues and any other issues that were affecting the performance of NSSA. And that report has indeed been produced. It was done by the Auditor General, and the board, when it came on board, has worked closely with the Auditor General. And the Auditor General availed this report through the ministry to us. We had our time to look at the report. And then going forward, we came up with a strategy of how to deal with this forensic audit report. You are aware that it is a forensic audit report. It's not just another report of NSSA. And because of the forensic nature, there are issues inside the report that need to be unpacked. And there will be issues for the board itself as a new board to examine and to engage our stakeholders going forward. I can guarantee you that the board will exercise its mind and will be guided correctly to deal exhaustively with issues that are inside the report. When NSSA has been seen to have lost money, by whatever reasons, we will seek to recover those monies. Where there's been prejudice to what our stakeholders, in particular our pensioners, where we feel we need to engage further over and above what is covered in the forensic report, we will do that, because it is in our interest to protect what it is that NSSA is supposed to be about, providing a social security scheme to all and sundry in Zimbabwe. So it's important that you understand that we are not just dealing with another audit, which can just be an audit to do with the financial performance of an entity. But this one is specifically a forensic audit report, misdemeanors, which are clearly laid out in that report. And it would be clumsy for us just to simply to throw it into the public domain without exercising due diligence to make sure that everything is followed up and exhaustively in terms of what the report is highlighting. There are also recommendations in the report which we need to deal with. And we want to take those on board and systematically implement them within the organization to create a good NSSA, a NSSA which has got the right image in terms of the statute that set it up in the first place.
I'm supposed to answer. You said I was given some money. I think you got the figure wrong. I think I was supposedly given quite a lot of money. Some people might have another figure. I am not dwelling on nonsensical stories. I have a mandate to deliver to the public, to ensure that money entrusted to NSSA is managed properly within best practice governance. Those are weekend stories. Weekend social media stories that people enjoy, share, and circulating. I haven't got time to dwell on that. There are bigger matters at stake to protect the interests of the people. I think those
so
were...
Minister, are you saying this is not a bigger story to deal with? The issue of looting and you allegedly being given money?
That did not happen. That's what you want to hear. That is nonsense. That is the nonsense I'm talking about. Okay. But what is important is that if there are monies that are missing within NSSA, our role is to ensure that we recover them. And the forensic report is going to enable us to look at the two ways. Is there a criminal dealt with within the courts? if there are ways we can recover through our internal systems, that is what we are doing. You're quite right. If there's looting, there's mismanagement, there's misappropriation, it must be dealt with. And this is our role. This is why I've got a board chair. This is why we do have a board whose main purpose is to ensure that there's best practice governance. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Minister, congratulations.
Oh, I'm sorry. There's some snakes here and some drinks.
That's one